What's going on, y'all? It's J Small Reviews here, back at it again with another video. As promised to you guys yesterday, today, bringing you guys the top 5 battles of 2022, my list of the top 5 battles of 2022. Been a rather dull year in terms of classic battles. I feel like we had one, possibly two battles that really are going to hit that category, which we will get into as we get up the list. But I do think we had a good amount of solid battles. Just good. Coming after 2021, 2022 had big shoes to fill. And I obviously, coming after one of the best years in battle rap, it's just going to pale a little bit in comparison. But I do think there was times with dips in quality. A lot of main events didn't live up to main event potential, which typically are a lot of the big time matches we hope are great. But what I noticed this year is there's been some more guys that I think younger talent that has kind of proven themselves and thrown themselves in that conversation, as well as some vets reoccurring, some workhorses that we know always bring good content, really being at the forefront this year. And I think they really held it down. We're going to mention a few of their names in here and highlight them for always providing good battle of the year contenders. But as per usual, we're going to start with some of my honorable mentions before we get into the top 5. So without further ado, let's go into those. So to start out the honorable mentions, we have KD versus Wise, the best battle that came off of the Midnight Madness platform, in my opinion. Great back and forth. Obviously, these gentlemen will go on to split the money that was on the floor back to each other, break it even, which is really, really dope and goes to show how close it was. Definitely made the most of the Midnight Madness, real small room setting. Wise had probably his best performance that I've seen, all the work he does in local leagues, or, smaller leagues to say it that. But what he did with the Harry Potter scheme, I think the Harry Potter concept's been really hard for a lot of people to flip. Some of the best Harry Potter bars I've heard, from Wise in there, so that was fire. And on the flip side with KD, the Likewise bar, the way he's been rapidly performing. And overall, KD's had a good year, very underrated. I think in terms of just what he's done without having to go to URL. Obviously hit a major platform with RBE with this Bad News battle. But I think these are two guys that don't get, all the biggest looks, but still put on a battle that gets talked about. I think people say this battle's underrated. If you ask anyone, it's pretty much in the top 10 list for the most part. It was on a smaller league, but I don't think it's underrated. But for these two gentlemen that have smaller names to get that kind of recognition just goes to show how good the battle was. So had to mention, at least in the honorable mentions. From there, we can go into Verb versus Suge on Volume 10. Very good battle as well. Really comes down to the second. I personally think Suge kind of got it by a clear margin, but that'll come with more rewatches. We'll see if my opinion changes on that. But you really get a great battle here. You get Verb winning the first clear, in my opinion, really showing that he, showed up to battle. Great seconds from both. The second from Suge is one of the best rounds of his career. And then a great third from Suge really to close out the battle, win that round clear. So really dope battle. Obviously, you have the implications of Cody that goes into it, but you have the kind of a grudge. It's not really a grudge, but a call-out match that comes together with two top tiers that we know and love, ends up living up to the hype. Figured that also deserved an honorable mention. And as for the final two here, a battle I got to see in person, Sheed Happens versus Kid Chaos at Traffic 5. We knew going into it that it was a dark horse pick for Battle of the Night, just because both of their styles, that very pen intricate but still heavy on the performance and acting it out. So to see those unorthodox-ish and very high-level pens go together, and especially on the rhythm that they both have caught recently at the time, we knew it was going to be a great battle and ended up being one of the best battles of the year. Particularly their second going at each other is incredible. Sheed has an amazing first, so for Chaos to come back and have that incredible of a second to respond to after two amazing Sheed rounds, and to close it out with a third that was very good as well. You get, if you love pen work and performance work, it helps entertain both of those crowds, what I'm saying? Fill both of their needs, and it gives you one of the best clashes of the year. And that leads us into our last honorable mention. Which battle do I think is right outside of the top 5? And that is Danny Myers versus Tay-Rock. For many people, this is high up on the list. For me personally, I think that there's just the moment of it, the impact, obviously the almost fight in the face-off, the fact that Danny's been wanting this battle for years, and the fact that Danny had that overwhelmingly great performance. It makes it a very important battle in the year. But I do believe after Danny has that incredible... Tay-Rock has a decent first, and Danny has that incredible first round. I think both of their seconds is a step down. I think Rock, Rock has a weirder second. Danny relies heavy on the multis for the second. And then thankfully, Rock at the end has that incredible third round. Drew it with my left hand. So there is a reason this battle's getting mentioned here. Danny had a decent third as well. But there is a reason this battle's getting mentioned here. Because it is a great battle, but I just point that out to say that's why it's not in my top 5. I think particularly the dip from both of them in the second. There's not the cohesive 6 great rounds from both, but it is a good performance from both. One of the most impactful battles of the year, and that's why it needs to be mentioned here. But without further ado, we can get into my picks for the top 5 battles of 2022. And at number 5, to kick off the list, a repeat name that you're going to see here from the honorable mentions, Tay-Rock versus Vixen the Assassin. Shout out to Tay-Rock. Early in this video, I mentioned guys that perennially just always get Battle of the Year contenders, and even in a year like 2022 where as I've mentioned, I think it was a little less on the classic front and clear, front-running, great Battle of the Year contenders. But even then, Rock still provides one of the best battles, a couple of the best battles of the year, and always brings that A game out of his opponents while being consistent. So one of the guys I wanted to mention in that category that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. With that being said, Tay-Rock versus Vixen is an extremely great battle. Save Kings versus Queens 3. Very dry event for the most part outside of this battle. And then you get one of the best back and forths of the year. Tay-Rock's first is great. Vixen has a good first, but Tay-Rock's first is incredible. Well, I thought Vixen, always am impressed with the creativity in her punches and performance and how she can land haymakers back to back. She ran into an incredible Tay-Rock first on signature. You're just a white girl. She's a white bitch. You know what I'm saying? All that craziness, the disrespect he has in his female matchups. And then Vixen responds with a career-defining type of second round, and why I look at her as a superstar talent in her own right, where I think she clearly takes the second from Rock. I mean, clearly. Comes down to the third. I've always comfortably edged Rock the third, but once again, both of them have very good to great third rounds. This is one of those where it was a really rough card, and you just have this one battle that saves the card. Stops you from calling the card a 4 out of 10 and then ends up making you score a 6 out of 10 just because Rock and Vixen was that good. So shout out to them when it's a card saver. It has that type of impact. Pretty fairly large event. Just a great back and forth between two of the most powerful punchers and performers in the world. And that's why it's at number 5. And from there, we can go to number 4. And number 4, coming from King of the Dot, the King of the Dot tourney that happened early in the year, I do have Bill Collector versus Mac Myron. Now, I remember when it happened. I just remember when it happened that everyone was calling it like a super instant classic craziness. I will say on the rewatch, I don't think it has. I thought it might stick as like a top 2 battle of the year at that the whole year. It doesn't have quite as much as that for me, but I do still think it's one of the best battles of the year. Clearly, Bill Collector and really the whole year, but especially in the King of the Dot tournament, is just at his peak form. You're getting the most of the Devil Bar Bill, some of his best haymakers and just wordplay connecting. You could just tell how zoned in he was on the money and how it brought some of the best material and rapping out of him. On the flip side, you have Mac Myron, who although to me he's taken a couple losses this year, Enes next, couple of those I think people overlook when they say he's the most underrated and things like that. But even with that being said, this battle, he was as great as advertised. Mac Myron is still a great talent, punching, comedy, kind of, shows why he's such a great counterpart of Ill Will in a way. He has a lot of those same qualities as battler. And here he shows that first and second round, all types of different jokes while mixing in great punches. The Jill Scott bar, the way that he rhymed that out and led up to it, this is really great for the rappers fans. A lot of flows, different flows being switched up here while still having great content. And it ends up being a borderline classic, if not, a King of the Dot classic battle. And in my opinion, the best battle in that bracket of the tourney, people like Pass and Bill. Me personally, I think Bill and Mac is just the better battle in terms of back and forth and all the skills being shown, and the best battle of that King of the Dot tourney. So shout out to them, and that's why I had that battle as number 4 on the Battle of the Year list. From there, we can crack into the top 3 battles of the year, and at number 3, I have Rum Nitty versus Fonz. Happened on the Civil War 3 card, ended up being probably the card of the year, all things considered. Really great event in Orlando. I was very blessed to be able to go there in person and see all that go down. And Rum Nitty versus Fonz is one of those big reasons. Originally scheduled for Volume 10, as we all know, it would have happened on the same card as Verb versus Suge, and it probably would have made that card amazing. I don't know how all that material plays out in the volume. It's a funny little thing to think about, but it played out on a stage and ended up still playing out amazing. From really every round of this battle is good. I don't think anybody had a bad round. I'd say the weakest round of the battle is maybe Fonz's first or Nitty's third, but even then you still get some of the best content you're going to get, and that's typically how it goes in a punch fest. The first round, Rum Nitty clearly took by a decisive margin, but yeah, that just goes to show how great Nitty's first was. I mean, he's been having an absolutely incredible year. A lot of these guys on here, champion of the year candidates, you know what I'm saying, are having some great years. Both of these gentlemen in this battle are that, and this is one of their best performances. The third round, I skipped to the third because I have reviewed this battle for those of you who haven't seen. Fonz goes on, in my opinion, to win the third comfortably, and it comes down to a great second debatable from both. One of the most debatable battles on this list. I think people will be going back and forth in that second for a very long time. For me, obviously, I edge Nitty, but I think the battle is incredible either way. You get one of the best Fonz performances of his career in a moment that he really needed it. You get an amazing Rum Nitty performance and a slew of very good Rum Nitty performances of 2022. And we all love a good punch fest. Puncher versus puncher typically leads to some of the best quality battles you can get just because you can go back and forth with good bars. Don't have to worry too much about approaches not landing or the crowd, this and that. It's just good content no matter how you chop it. And for me, some of the best content in 2022, and that's why it kicks off the top 3 of this list. And from there, you don't have to look very far for my runner-up for Battle of the Year, because at number 2, also on the Civil War 3 card, I have Real Sick versus New Jersey Twerk. This Jersey versus Jersey matchup, man, these battles happening back-to-back, first of all, is really insane in the building, the energy that they contain, and it's why, to me, Civil War 3 is one of the best events. 2 of the top 3 battles of the year for me came from the event. And from first round to third, I'm just high quality material. You get one of the best twerks, not just this year, not just in the last few years, but maybe ever. I mean, completely full 3 rounds, full of approaches, full of good bars. Obviously, one of the best writers in the game. Then you get Sick, one of the best rappers in the game. Some of the best haymakers he's had in the first round, especially. The medium bar was super crazy. The flesh and blood hanging out. You could debate the first round from Sick as one of the best of his career. So all you hear is best. A lot of career highs in this battle. As for Twerk, and also had an interaction with Twerk on Twitter. Shout out to him. Corrected me on a couple bars that I got wrong. And the Sing being Sick's last name. You know what I'm saying? Players fuck up too, man. And try to get the bar from bar right all the time. But of course, I'm going to be wrong sometimes too. So appreciate him for the corrections on that. But yeah, he had an incredible, well-written performance versus the third, and obviously the third, full of moments, the conversation with Smack, the back 6 scoliosis, but even to start the first half of that round, as I said, with the 5 Ks of Sickism and the whole angle approach breakdown to that, it's masterful each way. Even the car crash angle done by Sick, an angle we've heard before, he works it probably the best to when it's been worked now. They both put on for Jersey to the fullest. I feel like Twerk won the second and the third pretty clearly, but there's even some people out there giving Sick the battle, which just goes to show one of the best performances for him, one of the best performances from him, one of the best battles of the year. And without further ado, after discussing the runner-up, we can get to my number 1 best battle for 2022. And at number 1, my battle of the year pick for 2022, for those that, haven't seen it yet, I do have A-Ward versus Rum Nitty as the best battle of the year. To me, along with Real Sick and Twerk, which is also, I think that battle can be considered a classic. Obviously, it's all about how these battles age, but I think Real Sick and Twerk definitely, especially with both of them being like on the younger side of Jersey talents with long careers ahead of them, could definitely see that being a classic. And I think A-Ward versus Rum Nitty was an instant classic. A very special battle to watch. Happened on the Riot, so my battle of the year pick not happening on URL, which is just, I only say it's a little crazy because usually, naturally, the biggest platform is going to have that. They throw the biggest events. But this year, I have to say that A-Ward and Rum Nitty did some really special work on the Riot. Watching that battle first round to third, you just know you're watching something special. I just feel like there's few classics that always give that instant feel like, wait, we're witnessing something. And it was crazy to think, very contested going in. Rum Nitty, people, A-Ward was on fire going into it. Rum Nitty, I believe, just came off the swamp loss. So that ends up leading to, Ward being ranked a little bit above him in this. Going into it, he was winning the prediction polls by a little bit, about 50-50, which you rarely see with Rum Nitty. You know what I'm saying? He tends to be typically very dominant on the prediction polls. So it just goes to show how evenly matched up it is. People were calling for, like, Iron Solomon versus Nitty 2.0. I don't think it was that good. It really ended up turning out very similar. A-Ward ends up really utilizing all forms of battle rap. We know how talented he is. His rebuttals obviously hit in this battle, but not as crazy as in others. But his approaches, his pure rapping, the rapping backwards, but mainly the way that he attacks Nitty, even some great punching name flip haymakers. you really get one of the best awards ever, and then you get the best Rum Nitty of the year, one of the best Rum Nitties we've ever seen. Another Rum Nitty, a guy like Tay Rock, I believe the two of them always hold it down to give Battle of the Year candidacies every year, always give their best and bring the best out of their opponent, which is why they produce so many classic battles. And this is just one of those that, it speaks for itself. Done a review on them. Done a review on almost all these battles up here, singularly, because they're all just that impactful of battles and that great. But bar for bar, what Nitty does from the NCAA scheme, Chardonnay, we all know how great, really instantly kind of one of his best and more iconic first rounds, his first round for A-Ward is. And even in the second and the third, the CAT scan bar, the moment from A-Ward with the did we just become best friends, you could just tell there's so much mutual respect from the NCs, and it leads to them bringing 10 out of 10 qualities, the absolute best out of each other. Damn near comes down to a preference battle. Me personally, I do comfortably give the battle to Nitty, but if you do love approaches and angles of battle rap, if you love that all-around versatility and some of the different things Ward brings to the table, there's going to be a reason that there's people that do out there that do lean towards Ward in this battle. But really, to me, it's the one battle this year that I thought instant classic. It just felt special watching it. While these are all great battles, that is why A-Ward versus Rum Nitty is my 2022 Battle of the Year pick. And with that being said, guys, that is my full analysis, my full list and ranking of the 2022 best battles of the year, in my opinion, the top 5. Let me know down below in the comments what your guys' favorite battle or battle of the year from 2022 is. Like I said, I think we got maybe not as many classics as we did in 2021 or as in years past, but we got some high-quality work right here. We have a couple guys that I just feel like really held it down for the year in a Tay Rock and a Rum Nitty. Also want to mention, Danny was only in the honorable mentions, but Danny versus J400 and Active or some of the lower league battles aren't battle of the year, but they're solid. And Danny versus Rum Nitty in the rematch is pretty solid. Danny versus Av, even though I don't have him on the winning side of those battles, he did a great job. And I think that's what this year came down to. You have a couple workhorses that really held it down. Hopefully in 2023, I think we didn't have a lot of consistency the first half or 3/4 of the year. Really from any leagues in a lot of different ways. RB did a lot of straight to its and then went away, and then URL had a lot of up and down. You can only get so many Riot events a year, so it left not that much room for some of the bigger talents to come and show out like they did in 2021. So hopefully in 2023 we get some of the, some more heavy classic, some more grudge matches and main events that live up to the feel. But overall, I think they still ended this year very good. That's why you see a lot of battles here that ended up kind of coming from that back end of, Sick and Twerk, Rum Nitty and Fonz, 2 of my top 5 that came in one of the last events of the year. So good fourth quarter, and hopefully we can carry that momentum into 2023. But Happy New Year's to you all. This is uploading, obviously, before New Year's. But ball drops at midnight. We're going into the new year. So dope year, battle rap, man. Happy to be covering as always. Like I said in the last video, it's a great part of my life. And as I said before, like, comment, subscribe. It's been J Smo Reviews again, y'all. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Peace.